Happy birthday to us, huh, Movement? 7 years. It's been, I just can't believe it. It's just flown by. It's flown by. Well, let's celebrate our 7th birthday, right? And let's stand up together. We started this new song last week, and you guys really enjoyed it, and we did too, so let's sing it out together. My Redeemer lives. Put those hands together, yeah. An oldie but a goodie. I know we rescue, sing it out. I know you rescued my soul. His blood has covered my sin. I believe. My shame is taken all away. My pain is healed in His name. I believe, yeah, I believe. I'll raise the banner. 'Cause my Lord has conquered the grave. My Redeemer lives. My Redeemer lives. Yes, He lives. My Redeemer lives. My Redeemer lives. Go back to that verse. Yes, I know He rescued my soul. His blood has covered my sin. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. My shame is taken away. My pain is healed in His name. I believe, yeah, I believe. I'll raise the banner. 'Cause my Lord has conquered the grave. My Redeemer, yes, He lives. My Redeemer, oh, He lives. My Redeemer lives. My Redeemer. Let's break it down. You lift my burdens. I'll rise with you. I'm dancing on this mountain top to see Your kingdom come. My Redeemer, yes, He lives. My Redeemer, oh, He lives. My Redeemer lives. My Redeemer lives. My Redeemer lives. Yes, He lives. My Redeemer, oh, He lives. My Redeemer lives. My Redeemer, one more time, sing it out. My Redeemer lives. Yes, He lives. My Redeemer, oh, He lives. My Redeemer, yes, He lives. My Redeemer lives. Amen. I don't know about you, but I am thankful today and every day that our Redeemer lives. Be a glorious day when we meet Him in heaven one day. Let's keep up the energy. Let's sing it out. We were buried in shame, but no more. So thankful I met You, Jesus. Let's sing it out. I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb, oh, till I met You. I was breathing You called my name, and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now His mercy, now your mercy has saved my soul. Yes, it has, and your freedom is all that I know. The old man knew. Oh, Jesus, when I met you, you called my name, and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. This is our story, let's sing it out. I need a rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break out the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing, now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. Every day worshiping with you is a glorious day. Put your hands together. You may be seated.
All right, welcome to Movement Church. How's everybody doing this morning? All right, so glad you guys are here with us. It is hard to believe that it's been 7 years since we had our first Sunday. God's been so good and so faithful, and I just can't wait to see what He's going to do in the next 7 or 70 or however long He tarries years. And I pray that today we'll celebrate Him because He is King and He is Lord. Amen? All right, so we're going to take a moment and dismiss our kids. Okay, there you go. We got nursery and toddlers back towards the cafe, and then right in front of the cafe, we got pre-K and kindergarten, and then over by the TV, the first through fifth grades. We need a new sign, don't we? First through fifth grade. So we take a moment, dismiss our kids. This is a great time to grab communion behind the center sections there. We'll be doing communion soon after we come back together. Grab a cup of coffee, say hello to someone, grab a cupcake. Please eat the cupcakes because I do not need to eat them all. All right? I really do not, even though I may want to. So get a cupcake. We will check you at the door to make sure you got a cupcake wrapper. Okay? All right? So, all right, we'll call you back together in just a moment.
It is on.
Definitely on.
It's definitely on. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Sean. We're going to do the communion talk. Really random question. Who has used a dirty rag to wash up? Don't lie to me. A dirty wash rag, like you used it on Monday, you wash it off, use it again Tuesday. Yeah? Okay, awesome. There's a point behind this, I promise. So when we think about that rag, right, we think about, hey, I need to get ready for my day, I need to go out here, I just need to be great, right? So the same way that we wash that rag is the same way that God washes us, right? My rag, I'm not gonna lie to you, has holes in it, it's like the frays are coming out. That's just the wear over time. The holes that are poked into that rag, the dirt that is on that rag, all the frays, it's just life. All the sins we do, God, I'm not good enough. God, I keep drinking. God, I can't seem to be faithful. God, it's just all the stuff is going on. All those holes are in that rag. But yet God still uses his blood and he washes us because you're still valuable to him. There's still value in you that God sees. No matter how many holes are in the rag, how many strings are falling off, no matter if half of it is missing, you're still valuable. He takes his blood and he washes you. And his love. He's like, yeah, you did this, but I forgive you. Yeah, you don't talk to me often, but I still love you. Yeah, you may have fallen short, but I still care for you. That's an important thing. So the next time you go to take a shower, next time you go to just wash up or even clean, just think about that for a moment, how God still uses us even though we're damaged, even though we might feel like we're beyond just forgiveness. God's love still just gets in there and he washes us clean and it's like brand new to him. Something that may seem like a lost cause. I felt like a lost cause a lot of times. I can tell you that honestly. But God still takes his time, still loves me regardless of all my mess, all of my self-inflicted mess at that. Not mess from other people, stuff I've done to myself. I love you, Deshaun. Doesn't matter what happened, I still love you. We're going to try it again Tuesday. I still love you. I still care for you. I'm still here. I'm just waiting. So when you take your communion elements, just think over time. We all haven't been perfect. We can't be perfect on this side. I messed up this morning. I was driving. I was not going the speed limit. And somebody cut me off. And I was like, yo, I hope you get a flat tire. That's not nice. It's not nice at all. But even despite that, God is still going to wash me. He's going to work on me because I'm still presentable to him. You're still presentable no matter what you've done, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you're going through. You're still presentable to him. He still loves you. He still cares. One thing God promises to never leave. No matter how damaged we come to him, no matter how long it takes to come to him, he's just waiting for you. He's waiting for me. So as you take your communion, just thank God for never giving up. One thing man will do is always fail you. God never fails. Never.
My strength indeed is small, child of weakness, watch and pray, find in me thine all in all. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. Lord, now indeed I find thy power and thine alone can change the leper's spots and melt the heart of stone. Jesus paid it all. Oh, all to him I owe. Oh, sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. And when before the throne I stand and am complete, Jesus died my soul to save. My lips shall still repeat, oh, Jesus paid it all. Oh, all to him I owe. Oh, sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. He washed it white as snow. Will you sing it up? Stand up for the God who gave it all. Stand up with us. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt, raised his life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt, raised his life up from the dead. Jesus paid it all. Oh, all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. Jesus truly paid it all. Let's sing it all out together one more time. I want to hear you. Jesus paid it all. All to him I owe. To him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. He washed it white as snow. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much that you live. Not only that you died, for it is the reason we have hope and everlasting life that you died, but even more so that you rose again 3 days later. I just thank you so much. Like Deshaun said, that we don't no longer have to be a dirty rag, feeling lost without purpose, dirty. We can be made clean and whole and given a whole new purpose. One of the most important purposes that there is, and that is sharing that you are the God who loves everyone, who sent his son to be crucified on a cross, to be raised again. Thank you for these 7 years at Movement. Thank you for blessing us. I am just like, short 7 years here, I've just seen amazing things happen, and I know, and I pray that we see a lot more. I thank you for Movement. I thank you for your son. I thank you for this family that I've come to love. Be with us, open our hearts, and renew our minds as we make room for you in our lives. Happy birthday. We love you so much, Lord. In your heavenly precious name, amen. You may be seated.
You're the first, you're the Alpha, maker of the earth. By your word, you created life out of the dirt. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift our praises to the God of the earth.
Man, it is hard to believe it's been 7 years. And one of the things that somebody told me, not before I moved here with my family and just my family to plant Movement Church, but they told me after I've been here for a little while and sort of gotten some roots established, they said, you know what people call, like in the church planting world and in the church world, you know what they call Nightdale? They said they call it the church plant graveyard. I was like, ooh, thanks. That's great to hear. I'll make a t-shirt that says that. That's awesome. And the sad reality is that we saw that. There were some church plants that started before we got there just by a little bit. And unfortunately, they are not, a church today. And there was others that came along since, and they were not. But praise be to God, we are still standing strong. And we have, we changed locations, but we are really continuing to reach people for Jesus Christ. And I just give all the glory to God. And because I believe in what, amen. Amen. I believe in what we are doing because we're trying to stand for Jesus Christ. And that sort of leads me to what I want to talk about to you this morning on our birthday. Many of you probably have heard me tell the story. I don't tell this story quite as much as I tell the story about my wife, Sherry, dumping me on my birthday. I tell that one a lot, but I've told this one a couple times, so I won't tell the whole story. But back when I was first getting started in youth ministry, I've told you about when I was at a teen convention and I was wrestling a couple of the boys, the college age, and a high school kid, and we were wrestling, and they decided to, 2-on-1 against me finally, and I was about to give up because it had been going on so long. But do you remember, those of you that have heard the story, do you remember what the guy whispered in my ear when I was just about to tap out? Who's your daddy? That's exactly right. One of you at least remembers the story. All right, so he whispered in my ear. He's literally like, choking me a little bit. I mean, it was all supposed to be in good fun, but, attempted murder is good fun to some people, I guess. And so I'm like, he's literally got me in a chokehold, and he whispers in my ear, who's your daddy? And that built up a little something in me. And I pushed up off the bed, jump up. He's hanging from my neck, and his feet aren't touching the ground. I jump up off the floor and come down, boom, on him, underneath me on the hotel room floor. His arms fall off. I get up, and I say, who's your daddy now, boy? So I added a little bit to the saying. But the reason I say that is because when several years back, there was a show that came on, I guess in the afternoons or maybe the mornings. I don't remember, to be honest. But it was a talk show. And back in the day, talk shows were like the thing. I don't know if they're really that big of a thing anymore because I don't know who watches regular TV that much. But there was a show, and some of you that are a little more mature, you probably know exactly where I'm going with this. A show called The Maury Povich Show. Does anybody remember that? And on these episodes, it seems like they would have them like really, really regular. Evidently, they didn't want to write new stuff, and so they said, let's just do this every week. They would go on, they'd bring a couple who was disputing about who the children belonged to. And it would do a paternity test, and they would play out all this drama, of course. I mean, it was the big deal. It made this big drama. He said, she said, all that sort of stuff. And then towards the end, they would reveal the paternity, and they'd have it normally in a brown manila envelope. He would bring it up, and he said, basically, he didn't say it this way, but who's your daddy is the question that they would answer. And he would hold it up. And then, if anybody remembers, are y'all too like spiritual acting act like y'all ever watch Maury? Okay, all right, okay. They would reveal it, and as soon as, 9 times out of 10, it was not, the dad was not the father. The guy who thought he was the father was not the father. And normally he would either do one of two things. He would and run off stage, or he would just start flipping stuff. I mean, that's kind of the two things. He would choke the guy who come to find out was the father, and, all that sort of stuff. And it was just a melee. But, most of y'all were sitting there just popcorn, just watching, because, drama is exciting. And that envelope held so much power. Who is your father? Who's your daddy? And they would pull it out and they'd reveal this answer. And that's a good question. And I don't know if you know this. And I hope the Lord doesn't strike me down for making this comparison, but it fits, and you'll see where I'm going with this. Jesus did a pre-impersonation of Maury Povich. He did a pre-impersonation of Maury Povich. And what we're going to see this is in John chapter 8. If you got your Bibles, you want to follow along in your paper Bible, on your church, on your Bible app, it'll be up on the screen as well. But John chapter 8, in this account, Jesus does a pre-impersonation of Maury Povich. Maybe Maury is more likely impersonating Jesus. That's probably the only time. But he goes here and he's got this standoff between himself and these religious teachers. Some of them called Pharisees, some called Sadducees, others teachers of the law. And they gather around and they're always trying to catch Jesus. If you remember last week, we talked about the woman caught in the act of adultery. Do you remember that those were also some of the teachers of the law, the Pharisees, the Sadducees? And it says they specifically brought this woman out to do what? Try to catch Jesus in a conundrum, in this disagreement here. They wanted to catch him, and they always did this sort of thing. But here we go yet again. And Jesus decides to play a game of, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? He's like, okay, I'm tired of messing with y'all. And he does his best impersonation. And so you've got the two possible fathers standing here in this scenario that Jesus is laying out. The father of lies on one side, and the kids are in dispute. And these kids that are in dispute are the Jewish leaders. And Jesus is kind of saying to God the Father, you are not the Father. And the thing is that on Maury, like we said, the guy that thought he was the dad would go what? He'd go running out, he'd go crazy because he was totally shocked. In this case, God the Father is not shocked at all, is he? He knew the answer, and he had been trying to he was like, I tried to tell y'all, I'm not your father. You think that I'm your father, but I'm not your father. And Jesus brings it all to a head in John chapter 8, verse 44. Read along with me. He tells these teachers, he says, you are of your father, the devil. That is a drop the mic moment. That is a flip chairs type moment. That is like go crazy moment. You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. Who's their father? The devil. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Did you guys know that Jesus wrote Hallmark cards? A lot of times we get a total misunderstanding. Jesus was love, is love. He is perfect. But a lot of times we think that he was nice. And I heard somebody, and it wasn't the first person I've ever heard say this, but I heard it again a few weeks ago at the conference I got to go to. And he talked about nice not being biblical. And I'm like, I think you're right. He said, kindness is biblical, but niceness is not biblical. He said, niceness is caring more about what people think of you than what you really think of other people. We try to make people think we're nice because we want them to think well of us. And then he said something that I don't know that I'd heard before, but I agree with it. He said, niceness is the death of truth. Whew, that's something right there, right? Because sometimes we just want to be so nice that we won't tell people the truth. But Jesus is willing and ready to tell people the truth because he knows, and I'm tipping my hand here a little bit. You know, if you've been around church a little bit, you may have heard this, but truth will set you free. And so he's getting ready to make this point here, that the father of lies is their father. And the Pharisees were adamant that Abraham was their father. And when they were saying that, they were saying that God the Father was their father. They just thought it was a little bit presumptuous to say that God the Father was their father, but that's what they're saying when they say Abraham is their father. And they were adamant that he was. And what that means is that Jesus is drawing this line and he's making this connection point, and it all comes down to two choices that those guys that were standing there that day and all of us have. We've got two choices about who our spiritual father is. The father of lies versus the father of truth. The father of lies, the devil, or the father of truth, God, Yahweh, if you will, Jehovah, if you will. We got two choices. And here's the question that sort of rings out in my brain. How could these super knowledgeable teachers of the law, the Pharisees and Sadducees, the guys that could quote book, chapter, and verse, they knew all the rules and regulations, how could these guys who supposedly know so much get so messed up that they did not realize that God was not their father and yet Satan was their father? If I could make you pause or ask you to pause for just a second and consider something. If these guys who know more Bible than, they probably forget more Bible than we will ever know. If they could miss the point so much, should we be so arrogant to think that we completely have all the right answers? And should we ever get so arrogant and so cocky that we feel like I've reached this level where I don't have to grow or study or know any more about God's word? I've reached this level that I don't have to go anymore. Do you know why the main reason our church is called Movement? Because we believe in continually moving closer to God. That's one of the things that God was teaching me over my life and following him, is that when you start to think that I have reached this plateau, this point, the pinnacle where I don't need to go any farther, you are in major need of repentance. Because every single one of us has room that we have to grow until Jesus comes back, like Deshaun was saying. You know, we've got room to grow. We've got room to continue to move forward and move closer to God. And so these guys were supposed to have all the answers, but they were completely off base about who their father was. And the reason is because their faith was bound up in lies. They were starting with a faulty premise, and so therefore they automatically end up with a faulty conclusion. And so they had this problem that they need to rectify, that they need to get down to the bottom of. And all the things, even the truth that they believed, was nullified by their actions. They believed some right truths, but their faith, they're living it out, nullified even those truths they believed. And here's something that I think if you don't get anything else out of today, I hope maybe you'll get this. This is, I think, is important. Assent that is acknowledgement of truth, of statements of fact, by itself is not biblical faith. And that might seem like, what does that even mean? A lot of people have been duped and lied to and led falsely down the path to believe as long as you acknowledge facts about God, that means you have biblical faith. But James says that even the demons do what? Believe. And you could insert that little definition there. Assent or acknowledge the truth. They believe and acknowledge the truth of who Jesus is, but that doesn't mean that they're saved, right? And so and I would beg to differ that they don't believe it, they know it. And they are not saved. So we need to understand, just because we acknowledge a fact, a truth about God, does not mean that we have biblical faith. And we're going to look at that. We're going to see exactly how we play that out and how that plays out through us and in us. But these guys, their belief was nullified because they did not live it out. And Jesus again connects the dots, and he shines a light on true faith. And here's what he says, backing up to verse 39 of John chapter 8. It says, they answered him, those teachers answered him, Abraham is our father. He's our father. Jesus said to them, if you were Abraham's children, you would be doing the works Abraham did. But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. This is not what Abraham did. You are doing the works your father did. He is making this ultimately clear connection here. He's saying, you say you're of God, you say you're of Abraham, but you're not doing what a true man of faith, Abraham, did. Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness. And that is said after he's about to what? Plunge a knife into his child, which is, we could spend an hour on that, and we don't have time for that today. But that is just mind-boggling. He believed the truth that God could raise the dead so much that he was willing to really physically test it. That is biblical faith. That you're willing to do what God says even when it doesn't make any sense. Are you willing to trust God completely and live out what you say you believe? Their faith was bound up in lies, and Jesus here makes it clear. Faith includes what you do with what you believe. And so we've got to answer the question, who's your daddy? Let's make it personal. Who's my daddy? Who's my father? Who is my spiritual father? And the way that we determine that is by what we do with Jesus and his truth. That's what determines who our father is by what we do, how we respond to Jesus and his truth. Many of you know I've got 4 boys, and they all pretty much look quite a bit like me. My wife gets a little bit upset when people make comments like that, and she, carried them boogers for, 9 months, and they were all like 37 pounds when they were born. And they have a perfect combination of a Wallace head and a Jones head, which is massive craniums. I mean, I've got long this way, and then they've got round like bowling balls. And it's just like, bam! And she had those things. But they look like me. They look like me, except if some of you know, and he's not here today, my son Daniel, he looks a little bit different than me. And you would think, some people have even said, well, he doesn't look anything like you. Aha, I beg to differ. One night, about a year ago, he was messing around in the bathroom and came out. He's got really curly hair. He straightened his hair out and then put on a hat and came out and put on glasses. And I'm telling you, it looked like Luke Wallace walked out of the bathroom. And he did Luke's little thing. They all have their thing when they look at a mirror because they like mirrors. And he did his little actions that Luke did. And I'll tell you, it stunned me. Because Luke wasn't home at the time. And I was like, I had to do a double take. And then it proved, okay, yep, he looks like Luke and therefore looks like me too. And the boys love to hear they look just like me. So tell them over and over and over again. Many times over. Because, it's like the greatest compliment ever, right? Anyway, but my point is this. They look like me. They look like me. And we see this DNA resemblance. And I want to say, when you look at yourself spiritually, do you look like your father? Do you look like God the Father, or do you look like somebody different? Who do you look like? What's in your DNA? Is it truth or is it lies? Is it truth or is it lies? Do you look like your father? And here's a couple of things we see from this text I want us to sort of dig in to see how we determine that a little bit more deeply. The first is this. We understand this. Truth reveals, lies conceal. Truth reveals and lies conceal. In John chapter 8, verse 12, backing up to the beginning of this section that we're looking at this morning, it says, again, Jesus spoke to them saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Jesus is the ultimate revelation of God's truth. And when you allow Jesus to be shining on you, and you allow his light, his truth to shine on you, it does not conceal anything. It reveals everything. And if I'm being honest, if you're being honest, a lot of times we like to keep our sins in the dark, don't we? Because in the dark, we can pretend that they are not real. And we can pretend that they are not powerful. And we can pretend that they don't have power over us. But when the truth is shined on them, when the light is shined on them, it's hard to deny it, right? And, you know, that's why we keep things secret. We want to keep it secret in the dark, but the truth reveals while lies conceal. And so when we get caught up in a sin, we are so tempted to lie and we want to hide it. You know, it's so crystal clear. Those who walk and follow Jesus in the light, they experience life-giving truth. Lies, darkness, you stumble around, you trip and fall, you get lost. You know, and anybody who's had little kids knows, you know, you get up in the middle of the night and it's dark in your house and your kids have left all kinds of toys. You will say some things, won't you? Because you're kicking, breaking your toe. I mean, I know there's been times in my family when, you know, I've tried to get up, go use the bathroom or something. All of a sudden, boom, you hear a toy go against the wall. I'm just being honest. I ain't a liar. Truth is on me. Light shining. But he says in verse 44, he says, you are of your father, the devil, what we read earlier, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. When we dwell in lies, we reject truth because it hurts. The truth hurts at first, right? It hurts. It hurts, but it will heal you. That's why it talks about the word is like a double-edged sword. And, you know, it operates like something that cuts off parts that need to be cut off, but also like a scalpel that ultimately heals. But we've got to experience it. You think about it, light versus darkness, it makes crystal clear sense. Why do we hide things in the dark? The things that we're ashamed of, we put in the dark. You know, most crack houses aren't real well lit, you know. Strip clubs and nightclubs where all kinds of crazy things are going on. They're not usually real well lit. We light the dark because it makes us anonymous and gives us a feeling of innocence when we know we're not really innocent. And so we've got to bring things to the light if we're ever going to truly live and experience what Jesus has. Here's the next thing. Truth heals, sin steals. Truth heals and sin steals. And we've got to embrace this truth here. Lies will steal your life both physically and spiritually. If you get caught up in living lies and saying that certain things aren't sin and, you know, you just don't understand what I've been through and, you know, you answer all these questions and you push people away and you say, oh, you just don't understand. You don't know the things I've experienced, and we just lie, and we give in to lies. It will kill us. It will destroy us. It will begin to actually treat us different physically. We'll look different physically. But truth will heal while sin will steal your life. Lies steal your freedom physically and spiritually. I mean, no greater thing than when we get caught up in a sin that is against the law and we end up going to jail for it. I mean, there's the physical representation of it, but it happens spiritually to all of us. Look at verse 21. So he said to them again, I am going away and you will seek me and you will die in your sin. Where I am going, you cannot come. So the Jews said, will he kill himself since he says, where I am going, you cannot come? He said to them, you are from below, I am from above. You are of this world, I am not of this world. I told you that you would die in your sins, for unless you believe that I am he, you will die in your sins. Lies lead to spiritual death. Spiritual death, separating people from the truth of God. And like the religious leaders, we can be held in spiritual prison, enslaved in lies and in prison. Look at verse 31. And Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples. If you stay in it, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That's right. They answered him, we are offspring of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free? Jesus answered them, truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. Have you guys heard of Stockholm Syndrome? It's the idea that people get so mentally brainwashed when they're in captivity, when somebody's holding them against their will, that they actually start to side with their captor. And they start to have feelings and emotions, good emotions towards them. Well, that's what happens to a lot of us when we don't have the light of Scripture shined on us and we're not healed, we're in prison. We start to believe that it's a good thing. It's just like when you get older and you start to hurt things. You know, like used to, I could go and, jump off the roof of a building and come down, boom, yeah. And now, like, I'll stretch and yawn and pinch a nerve in my neck and can't walk for the next week. And I'm walking around like this. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I had that happen about 3 years ago. Stretching, really, literally, boom. I've run marathons and I stretched. And The same thing happens spiritually. We tell everybody we've got it under control. We say, oh, there's nothing different with me, but all the while we're limping. All the while we're in prison and we can't get away and we're trapped. And we've got to realize that sin will steal your life and your freedom, but truth will heal and give you life. And here's the next thing. Truth lasts and lies crumble. You want to upset a child? You take a $1.50 balloon and give it to them and let it fly away. They feel like the end of the world is there. It's the end of the world. And what we have to realize is that so many things in this world, they don't last. They don't last. And if we build our things on things that don't last, if we build our life on things that don't last, we're going to be heartbroken. We're going to be in a mess. We're going to be wrecked. We're going to be crushed. But if we build on things that will last, we will begin to find joy. Look at verse 51. Jesus says, truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death. The Jews said to him, now we know that you have a demon. Abraham died, as did the prophets, yet you say if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death? Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? And the prophets died? Who do you make yourself out to be? And Jesus answered. He says, if I glorify myself, my glory is nothing. It is my Father who glorifies me, of whom you say he is our God. He's our daddy. But you have not known him. I know him. If I were to say that I do not know him, I would be a liar like you. He's Hallmark card stuff right here, right? But I do know him and I keep his word. Keep on with me. Verse 56. Your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day, Jesus says. He was looking forward to me, is what Jesus says. So the Jews said to him, you are not yet 50 years old. You're not yet 50 years old. You have seen Abraham? Jesus said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. And they all rejoiced and saying, Kumbaya. No, what does it say next? So they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple. The Pharisees were so right now, earthly minded, they completely missed the point. They were looking for a warrior Messiah who was going to come and overthrow these stinking Romans. And when Jesus didn't look like that, they were angry. They wanted to destroy him, even though he had all these proofs and he had all these miracles and he had all this truth and he taught like nobody else ever. They missed the big picture, but Jesus was all about the big picture. He was all about the big picture, and he was all about eternity. And here he throws down the gauntlet. He's like, boom, he throws it down. And he says, I am drawing, like last week, a line in the sand, so to speak. He is throwing this gauntlet down as he claims, and we can easily miss this in English. And some of y'all have heard sermons like this before, and so you kind of got it as I was reading it. But we can easily miss in English. In verse 58, he says the phrase or the words, I am. What was he saying by that? I am God. He was saying, I am God, and that's why they picked up stones to kill him. And he was saying, I am the eternal one. I am the one who was and who is to come. He was saying, I am God. This is the truth. And that's why if you follow me and you keep my word, you will not die, because I'm beyond time itself. I am the creator. I am truth itself. And by saying that, he was saying, I am eternal, and if you join with me, you'll experience eternity like you've never thought before. Reject me, you reject God the Father. You reject truth. You reject eternity. Jesus is the truth. Jesus is the truth. It says in John 14:6, I'm sorry I didn't put the chapter there, but John chapter 14, verse 6 says, Jesus said to him, I am the way. Let me get out of North Carolina English here and read it. I am the way. That's more definitive, right? I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus says there are no other ways. There are no other truths. There are no other lives, ways to live. There is no other way. There's no other option. There's no other turning. Everything else will crumble like a little sandcastle you build on the beach that just gets hammered. Nothing else will last. You build your life on me or it crumbles. You build your life on truth or it crumbles. You will not last, and you will not get to spend eternity with my Father if you do not build your life on me. That is Jesus. And the Pharisees missed it because they were so bound in lies, and they got mad, and they just couldn't see past right now. But how many of us would probably be counted with the Pharisees sometimes in our life? Do you ever get caught up in just right here and right now? Where right now and money and what you do and where you find your value and your worth, all that is just focused on right here, right now. Where we just put all of our attention and all of our focus on right here and we don't worry about eternity. How many times have we fallen in that trap and been like those Pharisees? Don't be a Pharisee. Rather than repenting, they seek to kill Jesus, ultimately signing their own death warrants unless they repent. Their spiritual lives were built on lies, and they will crumble, and we will do the same thing. This is not fun to hear, but some of you are arguing with God's word. And as I say that, I don't have anybody specifically in mind, but you know how I know? Because there are people in this room, and you are breathing. And so in this room, probably more than one of us is arguing with God on his word about something we don't like. And man, in this society, in this culture that has believed these fallen into the trap that there are many truths and there are many ways and there are many ways to live, they are people who are arguing with God's word even within his church. And we're saying, you think you know. I mean, we wouldn't vocalize this, we wouldn't verbalize this, but in our hearts and our minds and our actions, we are saying, you don't really know what's best for me. And we're arguing with God's word. And if I could just ask you to consider one thing, would you consider one thing with me? Would you consider that if you're in disagreement with the Bible, that you may be wrong? Would you consider that if you're in disagreement with the Bible, with God's holy word, that you may be the one in error? Because let's just think about this for a second. Let's compare track records. The Bible, God is perfect. Batting 1,000, never been wrong. History, archaeology proves it true over and over again. And how many times this week did you push on a pull door? So I think the Bible's got a little bit more weight, behind it. And for some of you that really argue, it's like, I did not push on a pull door one time. I pulled on a push door. But we'll argue so much, we'll make up any excuse to not listen to God. So it's time for us to realize I may be arguing with God, but let's consider the truth that I am probably the one, not probably, am the one who's wrong. And repent. So who's your daddy? Is your father the God of truth or the God of lies? That's right, tell him. So what are your actions and your lives say? If Jesus pulled out the manila envelope and held up the results of you, would it say that God is your Father? Does your life and your actions and the way that you live and carry yourself, does it say that Jesus is my King? And here's something, before you get so down and out that you just want to quit, because that's the next thing Satan will do. If you're arguing with God, then you'll say, well, it's just done. He don't want me no more. You know the beauty of this is that God, the Father, is an adoptive Father. And that he chooses all of us who will come to him. And so no matter what your physical DNA says, the DNA of his heart and your heart can be the same. If you'll just come to Jesus. And you can be adopted by a perfect Father who is truth and will transform our life of lies into truth. Because what God says is truth. And God says that when you come to Jesus, if you believe that he is the only way, the only truth, and the only life, and you submit to him, you surrender it all, you stop trying to get it all straight, you stop trying to live life your own way and choose your own lifestyle and choose your pet sin. If you stop doing all those things, you just turn away from him, you just drop them and run to him, that he will be waiting. And when you do that, you call him Lord and call him Savior, and he will wash away your sin and baptism, and he will make you whole and make you new. And when he looks at you, he will see his perfect son and daughter because of what Jesus did. Amen. And you put on by your faith and baptism into Jesus Christ. You can be clean and you can be whole. And you remember the story of the prodigal son we talked about just a few weeks ago, right? How the father was there and both sons were caught in lies. One set of lies was a little more noticeable. It looked like a pigsty. But the other looked really kind of righteous and holy, but was full of hate in his heart. Both sons could come home, but only one did. So the question is this morning, no matter what the lies that you built your life on look like, will you come home to your Father today? I'll be right over here waiting. And there'd be nothing better than right now to celebrate with all of heaven if one sinner would come home. No matter where you've been far away for a long time, or you've been standing off and you've been close by for quite a few years, who's your daddy?
For creation, eternity in your head. You spoke the earth into motion, my soul now stands. You stood before my failures and carried the cross for my shame. My sin weighed upon your shoulders, my soul now stands. So how can I say, and what can I do but offer this heart, oh God, completely to you. So I walk upon salvation, your spirit alive completely to you.
All right, y'all have a seat for just a moment. I'm glad you guys have been here with us today. I've just got a few announcements I want to share as we sort of wrap up. I'm just really thankful, again, just for you guys being here today, and we're celebrating 7 years, and like I said, we can't wait to see what God does in the future. But one of the things that we're doing in the next few weeks, and we need your help today if you can, we are handing out flyers to our community, some of the surrounding homes, and I tried to make it clear. A lot of people probably freak out and think you're going to have to like go around like our JW friends and all that sort of stuff. That's not what we're asking. We're just asking you to stick a little flyer in between a door handle or something like that. You know, don't have to knock on the door. If somebody's out there, talk to them. That would be even creepier if you don't acknowledge. But, say, hey, we're from Movement Church. We meet right around the corner. We'd love to have you November 10th. And with that note, we've got some pizza for those that are going to hand out flyers. If you didn't sign up, I think we've got a little bit extra. If you would let the folks who listened to instructions and signed up first, let them go first. But we should have plenty for you guys. We hope you'll stay and help. If you want to grab some flyers, there's a map that'll show you where to drop them. And just you go through and you don't have time to stay and eat, that's fine. You can go do what you need to do and then drop them off later this afternoon or whenever works good for you. Julie Berry has those, I believe. I don't know where Julie's at. Oh, there's Julie right there in the middle. You can see Julie and she will give you some flyers. And but if not, we'll do our pizza here and then go hand out flyers after that. But remember, November 10th is when we're going to celebrate our grand opening here, just our big push to the community saying, hey, we're here in Garner now. And so it's going to be a great day. Besides our normal church service, we're going to do some fun stuff, hopefully weather permitting outdoors, but we've got plans in case it's not nice weather. But we're going to have blow-ups, we're going to have hot dogs. It's just going to be a whole fun afternoon. So we really want to invite you to stay. Invite your friends, all right? Invite your friends. If you see the invites on Facebook, we made an event. Share that. Share it every time you see it, all right? Share it, because we want people to know that we're here. And the more that you share it, the more people see it just randomly. And so we want to really let people know the love of Jesus, because that's what we're all about, right? We want to introduce them to Jesus. So one last thing, there is a box back there with candy in it. Don't take the candy out if you can put some more in it. We're also going to love on our community on their treat trail on October 31st, I think from 3 to 6, I think is when it is. And so we would love for you to come hand out candy, but if you've got candy to help us hand out, you can drop that in the bag over the next couple weeks. Actually, next week will be the deadline, and get that in. So anyway, I'm going to ask you to stand if you would, and we will have a word of prayer, and I just want to dismiss us. God, you are so, so good. You've been so faithful so long, and I pray, Father, that you would just help us to just seek your face and seek your will, not to just be an organization, but to be your body, to be your hands and feet, and not just be content to have a few family members, God, but we want to just bust the walls out of this place because we want heaven to be full. And so, God, I pray for your guidance. I pray for your strength. I pray for your love to just flow through us, Father, that people would see Jesus through us and in us. Give us the wisdom we need, God. Give us the strength and the courage we need, and help us to be your hands and your feet. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Y'all have a great week.